My name is Elizabeth Wathuti. I am an environmentalist and also a young climate leader from Kenya. And within the context of the Africa Climate Summit, I was serving as the lead coordinator of the African Youth Climate Assembly. That was actually the official youth engagement mechanism for the Africa Climate Summit, and the first ever biggest assembly and gathering of young people from across the African continent, where we came together to discuss issues around our continent and also showcasing solutions of young people and how they're addressing the climate crisis across our continent.
Our declaration, the African Youth Climate Declaration, reflects our commitment to harness the power of our youth to drive meaningful change. The African Youth Climate Assembly's vision is rooted in inclusivity, resilience, innovation, and the conviction that young people are one of the biggest resources that Africa is endowed with.
I've been championing for the issues of climate change and environmental conservation for a long time. Sometimes I feel like it's the entire time of my life because I have grown up in the most forested region in Kenya, that's in Nyeri County, and greatly inspired by the late Professor Wangari Maathai. And I think the first time I planted my first tree, she was the member of parliament in my home region, and I was only 7. So since then, I have had this love and passion for nature, and I've always wanted to know what it is that I can do as a young person to contribute to addressing the challenges that are facing our environment, such as climate change. And that's when I founded the Green Generation Initiative at the university, when I was in Kenyatta University, where I was also the chairperson of the Kenyatta University Environmental Club. And the journey has continued on and on. I've gotten various awards and recognitions for my work and leadership in environmental conservation, including the Wangari Maathai Scholarship Award. And also just recently, I think, became the youngest appointee as a commissioner by the president to serve as a commissioner representing young people and civil society at the Nairobi Rivers Commission. And the journey has continued on and trying to use my voice and the work that I'm doing on the ground to influence change both at the continent and on a global scale. I would say the Africa Climate Summit was a very huge opportunity for the African continent to shape its own narrative. And for a long time, if you look at the way the African continent is framed, it's always a victim of the climate crisis, which is true because the continent of Africa is the most affected by the impacts of climate change, despite having least contributed. But what we don't hear most is how the African continent is building its own resilience and how the African continent is leading on solutions for the climate crisis. So for me, the Africa Climate Summit was that opportunity to shape and change that narrative, that actually Africa can develop and can be able to drive its own green growth agenda, and that Africa has got so many solutions that the continent and the people of Africa are leading on the ground. And it was very much evident, even for us during the African Youth Climate Assembly. We had a lot of young people from across the continent who are showcasing their innovations, their ideas, and the different activities they are leading on the ground in their communities, even at the grassroots levels, to ensure that Africa is contributing and being part and parcel of shaping its own solutions and shaping and changing its own green growth agenda. The African continent, number one, and even Kenya, because Kenya is in the African continent, the biggest asset and resource we have right now is young people. We have a youthful population, and we have a youthful population that is driving solutions. Why? Because we are the population that have so much access to technology, we have so much access to the internet, we have so much access to any information that we may need, and also young people are very creative. And we are a generation that sees challenges and instantly thinks about the solution. So at times, I know people like to joke and say, like young people move really fast, which is true, and which is the kind of energy we need when it comes to addressing challenges like climate change. Because when you talk about urgency, urgency means you see a challenge and you urgently move to make sure that you're addressing that challenge without wasting any time. And I think that is the power that the young people hold. So many ideas, so many innovations, so many solutions that already the African continent can be able to tap into. And a lot of people say that young people are the leaders of tomorrow, but for sure, it's not about tomorrow. I would say that young people are they're already like leading today. And I think for me, that in itself is really key, and that we should be able to do everything that we can within our capacity to tap into the energy of young people because they are leading today. Every time is an opportunity for us to make a difference. And of course, with every delay in action, it means that we are escalating the consequences of the impacts of us not taking any action. So the impacts that are going to be felt in the future are very much dependent on the actions we are taking today. So with every positive action that we've made today, every decision that is being made today, it's definitely going to have an impact in the future. And of course, we can never say that because it's late, we cannot take action. Every day is an opportunity to take action, but of course we cannot continue to delay because that window, an opportunity of taking action, keeps closing every day. So we have that opportunity to be able to drive solutions and not just to talk about them. Because we have in many ways seen how we make commitments, we make pledges, we talk about things we will do, but we keep on talking and talking about it, but we do not deliver the real action on the ground. I think the opportunity we have right now is to actually get on the ground and make sure that we are driving the actions that are needed to be taken to shape and change this planet for our generations, for the generations to come, because for sure the impacts are being felt everywhere. Right now, as we speak, we are seeing what is happening in countries like Morocco, where we had the earthquake. We've seen in Libya, for instance, the flooding situations that people have been affected. Thousands of people have died. And we are not an exceptional. We are all within the same planet. We're all in the same globe, and we cannot afford to waste any moment for us to take action because these impacts will continue to escalate. But again, we have to make sure that we are driving the solutions and getting people to understand that in addition to us being the most affected, we are driving the solutions, and it's about time that the world, takes that opportunity to also, resource and make sure that the solutions that are being provided, even from the African continent, have got a place and a space to actually be driven. Yes. I always say that for us to be able to change everything, we are going to need everybody. But of course, we should not allow people that do not really accept that these impacts are there to delay this action. We cannot allow these distractions to happen. I think there is something that the late Professor Wangari Maathai always said, that those of us who understand and who feel strongly are the ones who should not tire, because the burden is on us. And those who don't know, they're very much at peace. So it is us who know that get disturbed and are caused to take action. And I think for me, that is the same messaging I would want to leave with everybody that has seen the impacts, everybody that is fighting for this planet, to keep doing that, because we are the people that are strongly disturbed by this. And if we also hold back our hands, nobody else is going to come and save us.
Be part of the solution.
No pollution.
Let's restore
Nairobi River Basin.